One side of me is like, I'd like to take her out on a date, but then the other side of me is like, I wonder what her head would look like on a stick.
Yeah, who's the serial killer now? The silly skull fucking psycho Sasquatch.
I apologize in advance.
You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
All right, today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Ed Kemper, the co-ed killer. He was a dysfunctional fella, big fella, liked to fuck heads.
Whew. Yes.
Yes. He was born December 1948, Burbank, California. His father, Edmund Kemper Jr., was a World War I vet. He tested nuclear weapons in the Pacific. That's interesting. Father later said that suicide missions in wartime and the atomic bomb testings were nothing compared to living with his wife.
Yes.
I know we can all relate to that, guys, gentlemen, fellas.
Yep.
I'm going to say it again. Testing nuclear weapons in the Pacific was nothing compared to living with his wife. What a bitch.
Big time. Oh, yeah. She demasculated him. It was just horrible. Why the hell did we put up with that? See, I have a new respect for Ike Turner. Because I'm like, all right, bitch. You tell me I'm out of tone? Okay, here we do this.
Yeah. His mother was Clarnell. At birth, old Ed Kemper weighed a whopping 13 pounds.
Oof.
Old Clarnell's vagina took a beating with that one.
Yes. It looked like the atomic proving ground
Yeah,
was right there.
it
Something
was.
went off. Like,
Boom.
boom.
His dad was like, man, this reminds me of the Pacific when I was testing nuclear weapons. His vagina's so blown out.
They had to cut her open.
Yeah.
Well.
Episiotomy or whatever it is.
Yeah. She had to have an operation so he could fit through.
Imagine that. You need all the staff at fucking Joanne Fabrics to sew that back up.
13 pounds. That's like a calf.
Gotta get those long gloves and reach in there.
He's like a toddler coming through that canal.
Man.
So that's been confirmed that she had a blown out vagina.
You know, after that, when she went jogging, it probably sounded like a seal falling around, just clapping. It's
Yeah.
like, oh no.
Yeah. It just start whistling if there was a strong breeze.
Yes. That'd be horrible. Like
Yeah.
a tarp.
Yeah. Just whistling in the wind.
Did the tarp fall off the tractor? No, Mom forgot to wear underwear.
That's just mom's vagina.
Yes.
Ed Kemper, he had a strained childhood. 2nd grade, he snuck out of the house to go to his teacher's house to watch her through the windows, which is understandable depending on her hotness.
Yeah.
But it led to other things. And one day, Ed's sister was teasing him and asked Ed, why didn't you try to kiss the teacher? Ed said, if I kiss her, I'd have to kill her first.
Red flag.
Yeah, that's not normal 2nd grade conversation. So from a young age, he was not doing great.
No.
So some of Ed's favorite games were the gas chamber and the electric chair. He would ask his sister to tie him up and flip an imaginary switch. Whoa.
Yeah.
He would then tumble over and writhe on the floor, pretending that he was being electrocuted or being killed by gas inhalation.
Or just imitating how his dad looked after going down on his disgusting mother.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, going down on her, you would have to like put your whole head in her.
Yes.
Like just to get her to feel something.
Good
Yeah.
grief.
He had a near-death experience as a child. His older sister tried to push him in front of a fucking train.
What the hell?
Yeah. And then another time, he pushed him into the deep end of a swimming pool where Ed's giant ass almost drowned.
Yeah, who's the serial killer now? Is it his sister?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, whatever happened to her? Are we keeping an eye on her?
The whole family, yes.
Right. At age 10, he exhibited a lot of antisocial behavior. Unlike some of the other serial killers we've covered, he did start doing some cruelty to animals. He buried a cat alive and then dug it up, decapitated it, and mounted its head on a spike.
Yeah, which pissed him off because it stained his PETA jacket. He wasn't happy about that.
Yeah.
All this mud on my-
Whatever.
He said he derived pleasure from lying to his family about killing the cat. Yikes. And we remember, I think it was Gary Ridgway, right? That he put cats in like the freezers.
Yep.
And would just like let him suffocate to death. At age 12, he was very upset when his parents got divorced. And he moved to Montana with his abusive mother. His mother was neurotic, domineering alcoholic who frequently belittled and humiliated and abused him. She made Ed sleep in a locked basement because she thought that he would harm his sisters.
Oh, the bitches that tried killing him.
Right. The one that pushed him in front of a train and tried to drown his ass.
Yeah. Wow.
Right.
You blocked me in the basement too because I'm coming after you. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So they just locked him in the basement, treated him like Sloth from the Goonies. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I would love to have made a part 2 of the Goonies where Sloth just goes off. He moves in with Chunk. He starts shitting in the dishwasher, raping all the neighborhood pets, skeeting on the back of elderly people's necks in church. Oh, that'd be so fucking great.
Oh man, that would be.
Where are you at, Spielberg?
That would be the sequel that we all really need. And his mother often mocked him for his large size. He was 6'4", 6'4" at 15 years old. That's big.
Whew.
That's big. His mother would call him a real weirdo in phone conversations that he would eavesdrop on.
Well, that's because they could also hear him masturbating in the background too.
Yeah. It was loud. It was like,
You're gonna do a
oh. Yeah.
So great. Oh my
So-
goodness.
His mother refused to show Ed affection out of fear that he would turn out gay. That's interesting. Queer eye for the
Wouldn't
straight
that
guy.
be great if that really worked? Because I would be ruining all my male chauvinist pig uncles when I was young. Just going up and hugging everybody like that. Like, hey, good luck sucking dick, Uncle Bob.
His mother also told him that no woman would ever love him. And later in life, Ed would describe his mother as a sick, angry woman, and it has been postulated that she had a borderline personality disorder.
Yeah.
Probably true. At age 13, he killed another family cat because he perceived it favored his younger sister.
He was jealous.
And he kept pieces of the cat in his closet until his mom found out.
Yeah.
So he's keeping pieces of the pussy, which he was eventually going to get, which we'll go into.
That'd be a great Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Pieces of the pussy.
Yeah. The Ed Kemper story.
Yes.
Pieces of the pussy.
Chunks of cat in your closet. Something illegal immigrants call hide-a-snack.
In addition to keeping cat parts on premise with him, old Ed also liked to perform rituals on his sister's dolls where he removed their heads and hands. And that was a fantasy that we later reenact in real life with real girls, not just dolls, real life girls. Like Alyssa Milano. She's a real girl. Very attractive.
It's on his mind all the time.
Very
Yes.
attractive. 1997, Alyssa Milano, peak hotness. Peak.
It's a good thing that it was like before the dick pic phase because she'd be getting a shit ton from Tony Danza. Yes.
Toad, who's the boss?
Yes.
And then post his arrest, Ed would say, I remember where there was actually a sexual thrill. You hear that little pop and pull off their heads and hold them up by their hair, and you just nut instantly all over the doll.
Yes.
Crazy.
Imagine being the manager at Toys R Us, like, what the fuck? Got this big dummy doing his shit again. Oh, that'd be horrible.
Exactly. At 14, Ed returned to California to live with his father, but that did not last long. His father sent him to live with his grandparents, and that didn't last too long either because old Eddie murdered those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
He hated living with his senile grandfather and overbearing grandmother, and after an argument with his grandmother at their house, Ed grabbed a .22 hunting rifle and shot her in the back twice.
Right in the back of the head.
Right in the back of the head. That's crazy. And then he murdered his grandfather when he got home. Right at his car. He just didn't even wait for him to get in the house. He's like, honey, how's it going? Dead. He got out of the family Buick and he was dead.
I have a Buick. That's a family car.
Probably.
There's a whole bunch of dolls with the heads popped off of the back.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Just covered in semen. In his mind, he was sparing the pain of him seeing his wife's dead body. So, yeah.
It might have went the other way. He might have been like ecstatic and they went to Baskin Robbins. Like, come on, Ed, let this play out for a minute.
Yeah, they got some rum raisin before. And then afterwards, Ed called his mom for advice. Of all the people to call for advice, his mom, who already has a giant hole where her vagina should be.
Yes.
So
You
she
took the back of his grandmother's head and her vagina and you couldn't tell the difference. Because they're both full of their grandpa's semen. So it's like, what? I don't know what the fuck.
Exactly. She told him to call the police. And he did. They came and they took him into custody just like that. And he was sentenced to prison at a criminally insane institution, juvenile institution. He was there until his 21st birthday. So he went in around 15 and he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. This is a chick who understands why Trevor won't call her back.
That's exactly what paranoid schizophrenic means.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
just, they don't know what the fuck Trevor's up to. He's getting his riz on at a Diddy party or whatever.
Yes.
So he was at the hospital from 1964 to 1969, and he was a model prisoner. You know, they loved him there. He was well behaved. He worked with the professionals there to develop a standardized psychometric test. And later he said he used this test knowledge to manipulate his psychiatric results.
Genius.
He was, right? He wasn't even a borderline genius. I think he was genius level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he took this test and he memorized the results of the test and he was able to just pass it, right?
Yeah, they say his IQ is like 145.
145.
Yeah.
So what's genius level? Is that genius level?
Yeah, like 130.
Yeah.
So he was over.
He was.
So he passed. So he took the test that he helped sort of develop, and they released his ass on his 21st birthday.
Yeah.
And not only that, but his record in 1972 was expunged, like just stricken from the record.
Like it didn't happen.
Right. Like you killed your grandma, you killed your grandpa, popping heads off dolls, fucking the dolls probably. It's clean slate. So psychiatric, they should have given him more reviews.
Yeah, big time. The psychiatrist, she said, if I were to see this patient without having any history available or getting any history from him, I would think they were dealing with a very well-adjusted young man who had initiative, intelligence, and who was free from any psychiatric illnesses. It's my opinion that he has made excellent response to the years of treatment and rehab, and I see no reason to bring him here anymore. He's no danger to himself or society. What? This guy should have given like movie reviews because he's so off. Like Deliverance, a family fun film that explores the joy of canoeing.
Yeah, exactly.
Grief.
Yeah. Burt Reynolds isn't coming for you. There's not going to be a crossbow. You're getting raped.
Yes. Wow.
A couple of years later, in 1972, he was 23 years old. He started picking up women. He picked up 150 female hitchhikers in total, letting most of them go. Soon he felt homicidal sexual urges when the environment proved perfect for a kill. He called these urges his little zappies. Little zappies. That's how I'm going to refer to it now. Feel a little zappy today. He would pick up hitchhikers, take them to secluded areas, murder them, and take their corpse to his mother's home. If her blown out vagina wasn't enough, he would just bring them, dead women, to his house and have sex with their corpses. He would decapitate, dismember, and then he would force himself to cut off their heads for the oral sex. Here we are, coming full circle to every other serial killer we've covered almost. They love to fuck the heads.
Yes. Yep.
They love it.
This should make like some kind of like Disney comedy called Given Head.
Yeah.
Ted Bundy, Gary Ridgway, and Crazy Ed.
Yeah, just like Pocahontas's head. And he would sometimes keep their heads for days. So, you know, a lot like Ted Bundy and Gary Ridgway, we covered them before. Maybe not quite as bad as those two guys, because they would keep them, they would bury them and come back for who knows how long. He would just keep them for a couple of days. But you got to imagine they were probably a little stank by the end of those couple of days. And then he would just dump them. He would dump them in various locations. He would just throw them off a cliff. Sometimes he would bury them in his mother's garden with their faces faced up. He said because his mother she liked it when people would look up to her. So he had some serious mom issues. Some of his first victim, he was actually 2 women. He picked up 2 18-year-olds from Fresno University, Marianne Pesh and Anita Mary Luchessa. And he chose them because they were upper class. They were nice-looking girls. They were not dirty hippies, as he called them, which is understandable because nobody wants to smell that patchouli oil. Patchouli oil? Yeah.
Whatever that is.
So Ed handcuffed Marianne. He brushed the back of his hand against her breast, and he felt embarrassed. I'm handcuffing this girl. I'm about to kill her, but my bad for touching your breast.
Yeah, he goes, whoops, I'm sorry. As he's about,
Right.
I'm totally fine with cutting your head off and going rabbit mode in your mouth when you're dead. I'm still a gentleman. Sorry about the boob thing.
Yeah. Minutes later, he strangled them both and killed them.
Remember in Forrest Gump where like he grabs Jenny's boob and just explodes? I've always wanted to be like in the theater and just ask out loud, did he jizz? just ruin everybody's experience.
A short time later, he kills a 15-year-old. Aikioku. She was hitchhiking. He picked her up. He showed his gun to her. Like he got out of his vehicle, right? And locked himself out.
With the keys and the car.
Right.
He talked to her for an hour. He coerced her for an hour, and she finally unlocked the door. I'm
like, why didn't you just drive off, lady?
Female drivers. You know what I'm saying?
And she was presumably, judging by the name, Asian.
Yeah.
So she potentially didn't know how to drive.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
that's horrible. This would be a great Allstate commercial. You ever lock your keys in your car when you're too late for a murder?
Right.
Call Allstate.
Yeah. Is there a rapist outside your window? Call Allstate.
Yes.
Clearly, as you can guess, as soon as she lets him back in, he chokes her unconscious, rapes her, strangles her, and then puts her in the trunk. And he went to the jury room at the bar, which was a bar where a lot of cops actually hung out, and he just had a drink. He got this dead Asian bitch in his trunk.
He'd get a drink.
Dumb Asian bitch. And then he goes to a cop bar for a nightcap.
And they loved him at this cop bar.
They loved him.
Oh, yeah.
The jury room was his place.
Yeah.
So he took a drink. He had a couple of drinks. He went back out in the parking lot, opened the trunk just to look at his trophy. For real, he was like all happy and this, and then shut the trunk, went back and had some more drinks.
Yeah.
There was cops, lawyers, judges, everybody at this bar.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what did they call him? They called him like
Big Ed.
A Big Ed, or like an annoying nuisance or something, but like they liked him. Like he was like this, he was like this like jokester, that they just kept around for fun. Later on, while he was under the influence of a truth serum, he revealed that he cooked and ate the flesh from some of his victims' legs, but he later denied that happened and said that he was confused when he said that. So, yeah, great. We don't know if he actually did it. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't put it past him. Who knows? I don't know what a truth serum is either. What's a truth serum, Sarah? Is it Beefeater gin?
Alcohol, pretty much, yes.
Yes, it's alcohol.
Okay, yeah. So all of his victims were, the first one was the Marianne Pesk, Anita Lucheska. Those were the 2 that were killed together. Then the Akioku, who was the Asian, presumably Asian. And then Cindy Skull, Rosalind Thorpe, and Alice Liu. He liked the Asian ladies.
Yeah, Ed said, my victims represented not who my mother was, but what she liked and what she coveted and what was important to her, and I was destroying it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's too bad his mom didn't love baked goods. So then said we just have some fucking sheet cake fucking Sasquatch. Wow, have you been to Ed's donut shop? The donuts are like extra glazed. It's like, good grief. What a weirdo.
His dad spent a lot of time in the Pacific. So that's probably where she got, oh my God, you must like the Asian girls. Sucky. Yes. Soul brother to Buku. So in 1973, he said goodnight to his mother for the last time. He snuck into her bedroom while she was still sleeping and bludgeoned her with a claw hammer. That's a pretty fucked up way. If he bludgeoned, okay, we'll get to this. With a claw hammer, slit her throat with a penknife. He beheaded her and had sex with her head. Now, he killed her with a claw hammer, bludgeoned her. Her head had to have...
Oh, yes.
Her head had to have been fucked up already, right?
Yeah.
He didn't care.
Lots of options to go in.
Ooh, lots of... exactly.
My goodness.
Head, throat hole, mouth, side of the head,
like
ears. Who knows?
A Rubik's Cube for your dick. You can just spin. It's like, good grief, man. Oh,
Rubik's Cube. I like that.
not good.
Humiliated her corpse. And then he put her head on a shelf and threw darts at it, screamed at it, and then smashed it in.
He screamed at it for an hour. That's, wow.
He screamed at her dead, hole-filled head. Just imagine he went down to the jury room bar, he was shooting darts, and all of a sudden, we need a new dartboard. He yelled, and he's just, let me bring my mom in here for an hour, we'll just throw darts at her head.
Wow.
So then after that, he cut out his mother's tongue, larynx. He tried to shove them down the garbage disposal. That didn't work. The vocal cords were too tough to be broken down by the machine, and they were spat back out into the sink. So he put all of her remains in a closet. He went to a local bar for a drink. He called his mother's friend to come over for dinner and a movie.
He's a romantic.
Damn.
Yes.
He just killed his mom. He just got done throwing darts and fucking her head. And then he's like, hey, come over for a nice dinner, Susan.
Sally.
So she arrived, and he murdered her too.
Upon arrival.
No dinner, no movie.
Yeah,
Straight
nothing.
to business.
Straight. He was nothing if not efficient. He strangled her ass, put her in the closet, and then he wrote a confession, a cryptic confession note for the police. He fled the state by car. He spent 4 days in Colorado thinking there would be a massive manhunt going on for him. Nothing. There was nothing going on. He didn't hear about the murders on the radio. He found a payphone, called police, and he straight up confessed. He thought there would be this huge thing like FBI, Secret Service looking for his ass. Nobody's looking for him. And so he just calls the cops. He's like, hey, I killed a bunch of bitches. Some of them are Asian. Don't know if that's a hate crime, but I did it anyway.
They're like, was she driving? Because
yeah, if she was driving, then it's justified, sir, and you can go back to your life. The police didn't believe him.
Not Big Ed, no.
No, not Big Ed. And they told him, hey, call back later and we'll talk about this. He called back later and spoke with a policeman who knew him personally.
The cop is the guy that didn't like him. He always thought there was something shady about Ed. Like, Ed had a .22 gun that wasn't registered, and they called him out to the house one time, and he just gave Ed a real hard time about shit. So he knew something's wrong with this Ed guy. So
Yeah.
When this cop heard about it, he's like, oh, we're going to fucking investigate it now.
Right, and then he subsequently confessed to all the murders.
Yeah, that cop went to the house, opened the door, and he could smell the death already.
He could smell the dead rotting.
Open up the closet doors, and oh my goodness.
Right.
Ugh.
Obviously, after that, he confessed all the murders. He went to trial. His trial started in 1973. His lawyers tried to go for an insanity plea, and he took the stand and said that he had to be insane because he had another personality that took over all times. You know, like he couldn't help it. However, they found him sane.
They didn't buy it.
Yeah, they didn't buy it because, you know, this guy, he'd done this before, really. They found him sane and guilty of 8 counts of first-degree murder. He was given 8 life sentences, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. While in prison, he tried to commit suicide twice using a small piece of metal. I think he actually devised it out of a pen, like a writing pen. And he tried to kill himself. His attorney asked him why he had not, if he wanted to die, stuck himself in the throat. Kemper looked up blandly at the question and replied, I would have died too fast that way. So he wanted to suffer?
Mm-hmm. He wanted the full experience.
Yeah, he wanted to think about things as he bled out.
He explained that he could have cut an artery in his throat, but he wanted to think about everything as he bled. So yeah.
Oof.
When he went back for sentencing, he actually requested the death penalty. But at the time, capital punishment had been suspended in California. So instead, he received the 8 life sentences.
Madness.
8 life sentences, tried to kill himself, fucked a bunch of Asian girls in the head. Nuts. Ed was a model prisoner, too. He was well-liked, well-behaved. He waived his rights to a parole hearing and said he's happy in prison. He liked it there.
No.
We all know what happy in prison means.
Yeah, my dick, your mouth. Yeah.
Exactly. He recorded 5,000 hours of audiobooks while he was in prison for the blind. Can you imagine just like having Lord of the Rings narrated by Ed Kemper?
Fuck yes.
And Frodo cut off the fucking head and fucked it with his hobbit dick.
That'd be awesome.
He scheduled other prisoners' psychiatric appointments and was deemed an accomplished craftsman of ceramic mugs, which I believe you can buy.
Yeah. Messed up.
They're pretty.
I just wonder if like he's spinning the mug on the whole pottery wheel and like the top flips over, it looks like a mouth, and then boom, my dick's going in there.
No,
gotta do it.
His dick is like the part that keeps the pottery upright so he can shape it.
Yes.
It's just Ed's 13-inch penis.
There's like chunks of pottery on the side because he's not circumcised.
Yeah.
So it keeps flapping over like, damn it.
He had a stroke in 2015, causing him to become mentally disabled. In 2024, he declined in another parole hearing, like usual, and he was denied. And he was wheelchair bound at this time. He has diabetes, coronary heart disease. A psychiatric evaluation conducted in April of 2024 classified him as a high risk to reoffend. Yeah, no shit, guys. He is due for another parole hearing in 2031. The chances of him lasting that long are not likely, though. But he's still alive, currently. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
During a police interview later on, Ed was asked why he decapitated his victims, and he said the head trip fantasies were a bit like a trophy. The head is where everything is at. The brain, the eyes, the mouth, that's the person. I remember being told as a kid, you cut off the head and the body dies. The body is nothing after the head is cut off. Well, that's not quite true. There is a lot left in the girl's body without the head.
Yeah, like my dick and your severed. That's just ridiculous.
Exactly. After murdering his mother, Ed said the part he wanted to spare her from was finding out who he really was, who she had created as a son. He also had a deep hatred for her. It was probably she had the same feelings towards him because he clearly wrecked her vagina.
That's probably the whole time.
That's all this is. If you weren't such a big fuck, none of this would have happened.
Punishment in their house was going in the basement, whether it's the husband having to go in the basement, if you know what I mean, or him.
Exactly.
Do you think he would have been normal if she wasn't such a fucking psycho?
No.
Fuck with him, or you think he was messed up from day one?
That's an excellent question, and I think that in this case, a lot of it was his upbringing. I think a lot of it was his parents, honestly.
Yeah, because once she's dead, he said that the urge was done. I have no urges anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, just a little bit of a recap here. So the methods that Ed used for killing was strangulation, choking, shooting, stabbing, hitting with a hammer. Sounds like a Tim Waltz Farmers Only dating page.
Yes. Did you know Tim Waltz and Kamala's husband, they went to a coffee shop a couple weeks ago in Arizona and nobody recognized them?
How could you?
They're like, hey, they're trying to act all cool and tough. We're here. We're going to have someone else pay for me. We're just in town for a little bit. And they're like, okay, you can just wait over there.
Yeah.
And you can see in their face, it's on YouTube. They know, nobody knows who we are. I might be vice president.
Is Kamala's husband white?
Yeah.
Just a couple of white dudes.
Roger's wet dream. It's just
They're so white.
unrecognizable. Nobody knew who they were. Like, who are these weird old people? Just go get your latte and go.
Right. So in some of his signature moves, if you want to call them, were decapitation, necrophilia, cannibalism. We don't know. He recanted that. Dismemberment. 145 IQ. 6'9", 300 pounds. He was strong too. He could lift 100 pounds of cement with his arms held out straight. Like, that's hard.
Yeah. I bet when he masturbates, he cries from the grip.
Oh yeah.
I bet it's just
it turned purple for sure.
6'9", 300 pounds.
Crazy.
That's like if Andre the Giant and Joy Behar had a kid.
He was good. He was good at handling weapons, guns, knives. Not that great though, because like he missed. He had one of these bitches he had in the back seat. He missed at point blank range twice before he finally hit her. You turn around and you shoot in the back seat and you miss 2 times. Not that great. Not that great. But whatever.
He was smart, organized. You think he would have ever been caught?
It's hard to say. Like maybe not. He wasn't even on the radar when he went on the run.
Yeah.
If he hadn't confessed at that time, who knows? He could have gotten away with it.
For a long time.
Yeah.
If he would have just hid the bodies, that would have been it.
Yeah. Some of his nicknames were the Co-Ed Killer, the Co-Ed Butcher, the Santa Cruz Ogre, and the Ogre of Aptos.
Santa Cruz Ogre. That sounds like Jack Black.
Yeah.
You see how he went off on his lifelong friend Kyle?
Yeah.
At that about the Trump remarks?
Yeah, like they were like childhood friends, and he just like disowned him because
Or just threw him under the bus.
threw him under the bus.
Canceled all the concerts, and he's just so hurt and shook up. And I'm like, this is the same guy that wrote the songs "Cock Push-Ups" and "Fuck Her Gently."
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, now you're offended.
Yeah. Jack Black was definitely at some freak offs with Diddy.
Definite.
So he was also known as Edmund Kemper, Ed Kemper, Guy Kemper, which was a family nickname, Big Ed by his friends and colleagues.
At the bar, the police bar.
Yeah.
They call him Big Ed.
Big Ed.
What does Bible study partners call him? The silly skull fucking psycho Sasquatch.
Exactly. What was the thing his half-brother said?
He said he's a complete sociopath. He said he could look you straight in the eye, telling you how sorry he is for everything he did, while at the same time plotting your demise, and you never even have a clue. It's terrifying. All these other people that working at the prison just loved him and thought he's a great guy, and they have no idea he's waiting to rip your head off.
Yeah, first chance he got.
Crazy.
He did give the FBI crime psychologist something very few serial killers ever supplied, which was a full account of the details of his kills, including his mindset, his provocation, feelings during his planning and acting on the killings. His interviews have contributed to the understanding of the mind of serial killers. One of the FBI profilers, John Douglas, described Kemper as among the brightest prison inmates he ever interviewed, and capable of rare insight for a violent criminal. He personally liked Kemper, referring to him as friendly, open, sensitive, and having a good sense of humor. So, it's crazy. After his mom died, he was just a different guy.
Yeah.
He was all better.
People loved him then. Do not forget what he did.
Right. So Kemper's discussion with Robert Ressler was, who was an FBI agent, conducted several interviews with multiple serial killers. According to Ann Burgess, Kemper told Ressler at the end of one of their interviews, well, what was it he said?
This is a big deal, guys.
Yeah.
This is big.
It's just him and Ed Kemper locked in this room, and there's a panic button under the table.
Right.
He can see, he's like looking around, they've been there for a while, so he hits the panic button like, okay, I'm done. And Ed Kemper, who's a fucking genius, he's watching this guy panic and seeing hit this button, and he tells him the guard isn't coming back. They're on a change of shift. He won't be here for another 30 minutes. In that time, I could snap your head off and leave it on the table. I'd own the prison then. I killed an FBI agent.
Do you think he kept the conversation going on purpose, until that shift occurred?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
I bet he did, because he was that smart. Like,
Yes.
he was able to keep it going just long enough.
Oof. That'd be 30 minutes of hell, or what most men call season 1, episode 2 of Gilmore Girls.
Exactly.
Can you imagine that?
So after that, the FBI agents were required to conduct their interviews in pairs and no longer do it alone with other prisoners, or especially with him.
Wow.
Crazy. That's our episode. Appreciate you guys listening. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please send us an email at beforewegetcanceled@gmail.com. That's canceled with 2 L's. Love to hear from you. Love to hear some feedback. Maybe something you'd like to hear us cover. Before we get canceled, 2 L's, canceled, gmail.com. Please remember to follow us and like us on your favorite streaming platform, wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you do that, you'll be notified when we release new shows, new content, and we would really appreciate that. My name's Cooper,
I'm Scott.
I'm Sarah.
and we will see you next time.
You make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.